Thank you, Gretch. Scott Walker's big victory in Wisconsin last night being seen as a huge blow to organized labor, but will that feeling reverberate throughout the rest of the country? Not far down I-94 in Chicago, the city's teachers union there is preparing for an epic battle against Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who used to be chief of staff at the White House. They want big pay raises, even though the city is broke. Kyle Olson is the founder of EAGnews.org. He joins us live this morning from Rapid City. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, so when you look at what happened with regard to Wisconsin last night, what's the moral of that story?
I think the moral of the story is that you can look into Medusa's eyes and live to tell about it. And that's exactly what Scott Walker did. He delivered a message that they have significant problems, budget problems, collective bargaining problems in that state. He explained the situation. They passed reforms.
Right.
And he clearly survived that recall last night. And so that should be a model for the rest of the country. And you talk about Chicago, and that's a perfect example. Chicago Public Schools has a worse budget situation, a higher dropout rate than Wisconsin. And so this is an opportunity for Rahm Emanuel and mayors across the country and governors across the country to implement those sorts of reforms and do what's in the best interest of kids and taxpayers.
Sure. Okay, so the Chicago Public Schools teachers are threatening to go on strike at the beginning of this upcoming school year. Right now, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like Rahm Emanuel and the city wants to give them 3 or 4% pay increases, but the teachers union wants 30%.
That's right. The mayor has asked for a longer school day, a longer school year, because of every urban district in the country, Chicago has the shortest day and the shortest year, and they have a 56% graduation rate. And so he's saying this is a problem we have got to tackle. And so the union's response is, well, we want a 30% raise. And now they're taking a strike authorization vote today, urging their members to give them the authority to go out and strike later this year.
Boy.
And so it's a union that's completely out of touch, but that's why this is a moment for Rahm Emanuel and mayors and governors across the country to stand up and say, look what happened in Wisconsin, and we are going to implement those same types of reforms.
Sure. Well, it is also, while it's a very powerful union, it's also, they're doing very well. When you look at the amount of money the average teacher makes in Chicago versus the average person in Cook County, look at that, $73,000 versus $53,000 for a private sector employee. And ultimately, Kyle, isn't that what it's going to come down to? The people of Chicago and Cook County are going to look and they're going to go, wait a minute, they're making a lot more than I am. They want 30%? I don't think so. And ultimately, they may do what Wisconsin did yesterday.
Well, that's exactly right. It is incumbent upon the parents to get involved in this fight and tell the union exactly what they think, because the union has been out in the streets protesting and picketing. They've partnered up with Occupy Chicago, all in an effort to try and win this fight that is playing out. And so yesterday I called this the slowest train crash ever, because everybody knows the Chicago Teachers Union is going to go on strike. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But it's going to take months in order for that to play out. And so parents have got to be engaged in this fight.
Indeed. All right. Well, they certainly were engaged in Wisconsin, and we know what happened there. All right. Let's see if it happens now in Chicago. Kyle Olson, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today from Michigan.
Thank you.
All right. 11 minutes now before the